Okay, here are my picks for UFC 162, UFC Pick'em. For the Mike Pierce, David Mitchell fight, Mike Pierce is 16-5. David Mitchell is 12-2. Mike Pierce is kind of three-fight win streak, with 7 KOs, 1 submission, 8 decisions of those 16 wins that he has. David Mitchell is 12-2 with 9 submissions, 0 wins by KO, and 3 wins by decision. He's just coming off a win over Thorson, and lost previous to that. So I really don't see how he wins, even though he's 12-2. Mike Pierce is the more accomplished fighter, I believe. He's at a better stage in his career. Although Dave Mitchell is pretty good with submissions, I don't see him being able to submit Mike Pierce, and I don't see him being able to absorb the power. Therefore, I have Mike Pierce winning this by KO in round 2. Seth Baczynski is 18-9 versus Brian Melancon, who is 6-2. Seth Baczynski has, I think, a lot more experience. Period. When we look at these guys, he's 18-9 overall. Like I said, he's 6-2 with not that many fights in the UFC. He's got no fights in the UFC, so he's got some fights in Strikeforce, so no big show fights. Where Seth has fought in the UFC before, he's fought on big shows. He's fought to big names like Mike Pierce. Even though he lost, he went all the way, which is somewhat of an accomplishment in itself. So I see him winning this by submission, eventually wearing out Melancon and winning by submission in round 2 or 3. Charles Oliveira versus Edson Barbosa fight, which for some reason I can't find in my piece of paper. Alright, that's fine. Oh, Edson Barbosa is 11-1. He only has that loss, obviously that huge loss he had that everybody remembers, to Jamie Varner. That was a big upset, that he got knocked out. And besides that, that's his only loss. Oliveira's got 5 losses. He's been TKO'd, he's been submitted, he's been beat by decision. I see Edson finishing him. I see him doing it in an outstanding manner, and I think probably round 2 we'll see it happen. Gabriel Napao Gonzaga versus Dave Herman. Not much I can say about this fight. This fight's kind of a weird fight. I don't know that Herman can stop. Gonzaga is one of the most underrated submission specialists at that heavyweight position, just because he was knocking people out, and now he tried to go back to it, I think, for Travis Brown, and got a little bit carried away and got hit with some vicious elbows and got knocked out. I think he gets back on the winning path here, and he submits Dave Herman in round 1. I think he takes him down, and Dave Herman has another, goes 21-6. And let's see, next fight, Norman Park versus Tokudome. I could see Park possibly submitting Tokudome. I could see this also just being a boring fight, or kind of just lackluster, so to speak. Maybe not the greatest for both parties because of their styles, maybe. And I see Park winning by decision. Possibly, maybe submitting Tokudome, although I don't know how many times Tokudome's been submitted. He's only been submitted once, and that was a long time ago. That was his first loss, his first fight ever. I doubt. I'm sure he's fixed that error. Chris Lieben versus Andrew Craig. Chris Lieben is 22-9 overall. He's got 12 wins by KO, 5 submissions, and I think 5 decisions. Andrew Craig is 8-1. He's got 3 KOs, 1 submission, and 4 decisions. I think this might be kind of one of those things where we see the new guy kind of, Chris Lieben is getting up there, and I don't know that he's going to be able to withstand the pace that Andrew Craig sets for him. although he's got the experience, obviously, as we see there, but he's coming off how many losses? 2 losses. I mean, although to great fighters, Derek Brunson, underrated fighter, and Mark Munoz, who everybody knows, he still has that win that, you know, to Vanderlei that was, you know, pretty amazing. And he's beaten big names like Aaron Simpson, Akiyama, you know, he beat Santiago back when he was actually fighting well, I think. So, I don't know, this is a tough fight, but I think, overall, I think, Chris Weidman's on his way out, so to speak. He's just getting that last fight in, maybe, I don't know for what reason, just to see. And I think Andrew Craig is going to, either knock him out, which is going to be more of like a ground and pound knockout, where the ref steps in. I don't think he's going to get knocked out, but possibly he could just, beat on Weidman for 3 rounds, which is the most likely scenario, and win by decision, and that's what I have. Cub Swanson versus Silva. I have this actually in a parlay, and I want Silva to win, but I think the more I think about it, I think Swanson's gonna win this. I don't know why I put him on there. Should have just been a little bit more conservative, but hey, maybe Silva comes through for me. It's a 3-man parlay. Jacob Noe already won the first fight for me, and then I have Chris Weidman on it to win, and Silva as a $25 bet with $600 payout. So. It's a grand, and I only need 2 fights now on a totally separate card. Let's hope. Anyways, I see Swanson. I don't know. I think he's coming on 4-fight win streak, and Seaver's like on a 2-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken. And although those were by decisions, whereas Swanson, I think he was more knocking people out and looking really good as of late. But that said, I don't know, sometimes Swanson just, it hasn't been lately, but sometimes against, like, harder fighters, he just, I don't know, something happens. I hope Silva wins, but I still have Swanson. He should win this should finish Silva or win by decision. Munoz versus Bosch, this is going to be a fun fight to watch. Somebody's probably going to get knocked out in the first round. I have my money's with Mark Munoz. I think he's a little bit more technical and faster, and they both take great punches in terms of for their weight class, but I think Mark Munoz takes the punch a little bit better, and I think he doesn't wear out as much, whereas Bosch sometimes you can wear out a lot quicker. So I see Munoz winning this by TKO. Tim Kennedy versus Roger Gracie, both, you know, Strikeforce all-star guys that they were building up when Strikeforce was a name. I think Tim Kennedy, though, has got a little bit more experience. He has more experience in terms of the Strikeforce fights he had, and just overall the number of fights and fighters he's had. I think it's in his favor. I think he comes in more relaxed. Maybe I think he, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Roger submits him because he's just been incredible. But I just don't think so. I think if manhandles him and just pounds on him for 3 rounds, maybe grinds out a decision, something really boring where I'm just trying to get him to the ground, but he's shown very improved boxing, so who knows, maybe he'll surprise me, which would be a delight. You know, this fight actually turns out different than what I think. Frankie Edgar versus Oliveira, and I don't know if back there I said Charles Oliveira for it was Rafael Oliveira, and I'm sorry about that. But Charles Oliveira is fighting Frankie Edgar, so sorry about that. Anyways, Edgar winning by decision. I think everybody kind of sees that happen. Edgar is so good at just putting the fight where he wants it, kind of like GSP does, and just beating on a guy, grinding him out. Just nobody can really keep up with his pace, not many people at least, and so I think he wins by decision. And my big upset, obviously, you guys heard me speak about it earlier. I think Chris Weidman, don't get me wrong, Anderson Silva is probably one of my favorite fighters ever. But I think Chris Weidman has the tools, and he should be able to pound Silva out somehow, in some fashion, take him down, pound him out, get in a dominant position, and strike him till the referee has to stop it because Silva isn't defending himself as the ref would like or something. And Weidman, I think if he comes in with the right strategy, doesn't have too much of the jitters and doesn't gas out himself from such a big, the biggest fight obviously ever for him, so we got to worry about that. He can win this, and I think it is time that Silva probably, somebody here is going to beat him soon. He's getting up there in age, and it's just a matter. Nobody can stay undefeated that long, or stay, on that big of a win streak. It's just in this sport, it's really hard to do, and I think Weidman's going to show that, a new generation, a new breed. Even though Silva, is the great master, I think we're going to see the passing of the guard, so to speak. That's been my predictions for UFC 162. Thanks for watching Dre Knows MMA.